Well, good afternoon. Guy at work asked me if I could turn some table legs for him, and I told him sure, I'd be glad to. And basically, what he had was a picture. It's a picture of a table leg. This one right here, and he already had the wood. It's 6-inch diameter pine posts that he wants to turn into table legs for a nice rustic looking table that he's building, and they're really big. But I told him, yeah, I'll be glad to do it for you, and that's what I've been working on all day today, and I've got 3 done, and I decided, man, I need to just do a video on this because I don't see that many table leg videos out there. So anyway, and how to kind of duplicate. But all right, this is one of the blanks that he gave me. He's already he put 1-bys down here on the ends, okay, and that's where his apron's going to attach. But I'm only working from this area right here down, so I'm turning all of this. And he actually went in and tried to fill some of the cracks, which really wasn't necessary, but he did it anyway. And but first of all, this is pine. Pine is really loose grain, and it's hard to turn without really sharp tools. It's not because the wood's hard, because it's not. It's because it tears up really easy. It's almost like turning spalted wood, where you have to be really careful with really sharp tools to get a decent finished cut. But anyway, I'm going to show you how I laid this out and how I took this picture and got my table legs from it, and we'll get started on this thing. Okay, well, what I did was I took this picture, and what I can tell right off the bat, and I'm just starting at the apron up here, okay, and I'm coming down to here, and as I look at it, it looks to me to be divided into thirds. This top third, and this one here, and then from here down. It's a little uneven here, so I ended up adding an inch, but I divided it. It's 21.5 inches, so I came down 7 inches, and that represents this cut right here that I'm going to make with my parting tool. Okay, and then I came down. I added an inch here because this looks a little bit longer than that, and actually from here down looks a little bit shorter. So I added 1 inch here, and to this parting tool mark is 15 inches. And so basically I've got 3 sections to work on, and the way I'm doing it is I'm doing the bottom section first, and I'm working on the second section, and then the top section last. And I got this all laid out. I just kind of fudged at it to make it look similar to what's on here, and once I got one made, which is here, once I got one made, then I had a pattern that I can use to put up against the others, and just get everything marked off. Alright, and I'll show you right quick how I do that. Okay, to start off with, first thing I've done is I've got this up, mounted on the lathe. I've got it mounted on the face plate back here, and just on my live center here. Now this post was already made. It was already round. So finding the center, there's a little trick that you can do there, and I'll show y'all that a little bit later. After I get this turned, I'll come back and I'll show you how I find the center of that, and because I already have. Alright, well, I'm just going to get started. I'm going to rough it down, and then I'll get it laid out. Okay. All right. Simplest way to lay this out, if you think about it, these legs are going to be spread out far enough apart, you know, 1/8 of an inch out or something like that. It's not going to make any difference on these legs. As long as they all look the same, you know, nobody can actually focus on two at a time. So I'm coming, lining up with this right here on this side, and I'm going to mark it. And on this side, and this is for my parting tool, and on this side of the mark I put a shadow. That means that I cut on that side of the shadow. And then I'll come to this one, and I cut on that side of the shadow. Okay, same thing here. And that's a cove. Put a shadow on that side. And then here, shadow. And that's a little cove right there. And that comes down this way. Comes down to this area here. Shadow on that side. And here, I've got two lines I'm going to shadow on in between them. And shadow there. Okay, make sure I've got my shadow on the right side, because the shadow is the side that I will put my parting tool to make my cut. Alright, so let's look at what we've got here. Okay, I've got this line here. Make it where I can really see them good. I've got these lines here. Shadow on that side. Shadow, shadow, shadow on that side. Okay. Alright, so I've got this thing laid out now. If you look at the picture, all these parting tool marks, except for the top one, are all about the same depth. And what I determined by just measuring is that those are about 1.25 inches deep. Okay. This is 1.5 inches right here, and that represents this. Okay. So that parting tool mark is 1.25 inches. So it's just a little bit smaller than what this is. So I've determined that out on my parting tool to be right about this area here. So I go about that deep on every parting tool cut, except for the final one, which is up here. And I'll go the same depth on every one. And I'll just gauge that as this thing gets in there deep, down to about here, I'm good. And I'll actually stand back and look and make sure all my parting tool marks are all the same depth. So that makes it kind of easier. But we're going to get started on this thing now. Alright, you got to make sure when you're turning something big like this that you're very secure, that your lathe is very secure. I'm mounted on a faceplate down here with 8 screws. It's good and tight in the thing. My tailstock's up and it's good and tight. Okay? And this has been roughed down to a cylinder, pretty much. A little bit right here that's still shallow, but I'm close enough to a cylinder now where I can mark everything and get everything laid out. So make sure if you're turning something like this also that you wear a face shield. I just don't trust safety glasses in this type of thing. Alright, I'm going to just go ahead and lay out my marks. my shadow in here also. This end, make these marks. I marked that on the wrong side. Yes, I did. And I'll have to remember that. Okay, now you can kind of see all the marks. And here I'll have to remember this, that I've got to cut on that side. And also there's a lot of sap in pine. That kind of gums up your tools and everything else. But anyway, we're going to get started here. Now this foot is about half the diameter of this, which is 6 inches. So I'm going with a foot of about 3 inches. 3-inch diameter. I just started out with my pointing tool. Keep my lathe nice and slow. I'm about 800 RPM. All right. Going just a bit. Now I've got my foot diameter. I'm just going to start right here. And I'm going to hit all of these marks down through here and get my diameters. I'm going to go in about that deep. Right there. Okay. I'm going to continue on. Okay. Alright, I've got all my diameters. Now, I'm just going to start shaping. Now here, you can do your shaping with a roughing gouge, just roughing it out with a roughing gouge. But I like my my 5/8 spindle gouge, ball gouge, for doing this, and that's probably what I'm going to use. And this starts out with a cove down to the foot. It comes from this diameter up here down to a cove down to that foot right there. Removing material right now. pretty nice. Okay, I'm just going to continue on. And this is a bead here, and then this is a bead here. So I've got 2 beads to go, and then this will come into a small cove and flare back out to this diameter and curve back in. So see how we go. Going to start rolling this bead. I can get with that, so now I'm going to come in here with my skew. nuts are hard. Alright. So I've got some tear out, but I'll be coming back and cleaning all this up. Right now I'm just kind of roughing it, getting it roughed out, the whole thing. Some clearing tape. I'm using my gouge like a skew on there. Alright, I'm getting a lot of vibration out of these knots here. You just have to be very careful and use a light touch. But what I'm doing is I'm using a paring cut, almost like using a skew. But as you come down, you're going to roll this in. I'm holding this down about 45 off the floor, 45 degrees. And you're just going to roll it in until you start getting a shaving, and then you just follow it around. And that makes really nice finishing cuts on a lot of these things. Still see a little tear out and stuff from the pine, but that's okay. It's all right for right now.